What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another, I would say this is a bonus edition of the PHDJ podcast.
It was the bonus edition, either one. But,
one or the other. You guys, the listeners, our loyal listeners, are getting 2 episodes this week. If you didn't tune in earlier this week, we released a special guest interview with Jason Jani. And this week we've got an all-new topic. I didn't even introduce my co-host today. Ladies
I don't think you introduced yourself either. You were so
I was so excited about the double episode. I am Joe Bunn, as always.
And I am Mike Walter.
As always. There he is, ladies and gentlemen.
One of us has a funny accent, apparently. Some people think I have the funny accent. Some people think you have the funny accent. Who cares?
Who cares?
We speak how we speak.
That's right. That's what we do.
So are we going to let the listeners in on why we did 2 this week, or are we just going to save that as a surprise when it comes up? Like, there was a definite reason why we did 2 this week. Should we just leave that as a cliffhanger?
It's got to be a cliffhanger.
Okay, so we'll leave that.
Yeah, but just know that
you'll know within the next 6 weeks or whatever why we did 2 this week.
That's correct. We'll just say this: we are rapidly approaching our 100th episode. That's all we can tell you for now.
Turning into a party.
It's going to be a rager. So as always, thank you guys for listening. We've got some amazing content again this week. So I think it's funny, Mike, and you're really good at this. I don't want to call it trolling, but keeping up to date with the things that people post, especially DJs on Facebook, and then kind of setting those aside for potential PHDJ podcast topics. So a lot of what we
Joe and I keep a document that we share and just throw ideas in there. And it's so funny because I heard Howard Stern was interviewing Sarah Silverman this week. You were in the car with me when I was on. And she was talking. Howard's always very interested in how comics come up with their material.
Right.
And like most comics, she said back in the day, she used to just keep a notebook with her whenever she had a silly idea or something she thought she could flesh out. Nowadays, she uses her phone and the notes section. And so I kind of do the same thing when I'm scrolling through Facebook. If I see something that I go, oh, you know what, Joe and I, maybe we could talk about that. Nowadays, all I do is take a screenshot.
That's right.
That's all you have to do is if you're on your phone, just take a screenshot and then dump it into that document. So that's how we came up with this one.
So what I like about this is that, a lot of times the topics that Mike and I speak about are things that you guys have sent us. So we get countless numbers of emails and texts and DMs about, hey guys, I'd love to hear you talk about this on the podcast. What I like about this topic is really this guy has no idea we're about to talk about this subject.
But I don't think he'll be offended. I mean, he put it out there.
That's right.
Facebook.
No, exactly.
It's not like it was a private message to me that I'm now revealing.
And we didn't pull it out of some secret group.
I don't remember. I just took a screenshot, so I can't see.
I got
was this in a closed group or I think? And by the way, the person who wrote this is Nick Cavalieri, who used to give you a little background, Joe.
I know his name.
He used to work with Elite back in the day.
Okay.
He was part of that mass exodus of guys that left about 20 odd years ago.
Okay.
And when I was kind of a shitty manager, apparently, and I've got to be a much better people person. But Nick and I have, we've mended our fences or whatever they call it, buried the hatchet, whatever the term is. And, I wouldn't say great friends anymore, but, we definitely chat and talk and everything else. So bygones are bygones. So he put this topic up, which I thought it was interesting. I thought it was worth making a podcast about.
Sure. So for the listeners and for everybody else that cares, I'm going to actually read it. It's only a paragraph or so here, and then let's discuss, shall we? All right. So Nick Cavalieri, if you want information, he writes this in a Facebook group. If you want information about me doing your wedding and you don't even want to give me your phone number to talk to me over the phone, then I'm most likely not the best MC/DJ for you. I am a person. I have thoughts, beliefs, and a philosophy to make your wedding a unique and memorable experience. We gain relationships and trust from one-on-one human experience by learning what makes us happy and how we operate. My goal is to exceed your expectations by learning what you expect. If you are planning a wedding and the entertainment company simply sends you a price list without wanting to get to know you, what does it say about them? Verbal or better yet, face-to-face relationship building is one of the major keys to success in all facets of life. Hashtag be the good.
And I think that's his like personal. He's trying to build that brand of be the good.
Okay.
So yeah.
Let's discuss, Mike. Why don't you? This was kind of your find. So give me your opinion, and then I'll chime in mine. And
boy, it is early in the morning, and I'm having a tough time getting that frog out of my throat. I'm sorry if
work it out, buddy. Work it out.
Sorry about that. You know, it's often when Joe and I record Wednesday morning, the first time I open my mouth Wednesday morning is when you and I dial on. So yeah, I haven't had a chance to clear that morning. Whatever. Sorry about that. I think Nick is making an excellent point. And I understand his frustration. We, too, wish that we could get every single person on the phone and even more importantly, every single person to meet with us face to face. But I also understand that that's not the way millennials behave and want to interact on the overall scale. I mean, certainly there are exceptions.
Right. We don't want to stereotype.
Right. When you talk about any large stereotype, there are always exceptions. But I think we'd all agree that as a generation, millennials would rather text, they'd rather email, and if they are going to speak, they'd rather not do it face to face. If they're going to meet, they'd rather do it cyberly, like you and I are doing right now on Skype.
Sure.
So while I understand Nick's frustration, I think it is it's counterintuitive to booking this kind of generation many years ago. As a matter of fact, while I was going through what I just referenced, that mass exodus of, I had a lot of DJs leaving me, training with me, and then leaving. Yeah. I was dating a woman at the time who wound up being my first wife, and she gave me a card that I'll never forget. It said, "You can't change the wind, but you can direct your sails. You can redirect your sails." And as somebody who spends a lot of time on the water, I'm sure you can appreciate that. There are cultural trends that happen in life, and all we can do as business people is try to steer through them. And I think this moment in time, and I don't know if it's going to switch back or not, we are going through a trend where this generation prefers to communicate digitally and doesn't love the face-to-face. So while I appreciate Nick's frustration, and you can hear it in that post, he had, let's face it, we can all surmise he had probably just gotten an email or a request, and probably somebody who wrote, "Nick, I heard great things about you. We'd love to, have you at our wedding. Send me a price sheet." And he wrote back, "I'd love to, this is just me making it up, but we can imagine." He probably wrote back and said, "I'd love to discuss your wedding. Let's meet. Let's talk." "Well, no, let's just send me a price sheet." You know what I mean? So I understand his frustration, but there's only so, and maybe he just vented on Facebook and then sent this person a price sheet. But at the end of the day, if somebody just wants prices and they won't talk to you until they get that in hand, I think you just send it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about this ad nauseum on the show, if you will, Mike. I mean, you and I are pretty forthcoming with that price sheet, right up front, right? Yes. I mean, you guys are, we are as well.
Give us your name, date, and email, and we're pretty much, we'll give you that information.
Right. Because then they're in the database, and you can at least do your follow-ups.
And don't get me wrong, we are still in every single contact is let's meet, let's get together. Same. Here's our office. Here's our office hours. We'd love to meet with you. And if that falls short, we'd love to get you on the phone. Let's have you talk to the DJ who you're thinking. So it's not like we're just sending a price sheet and saying, "Hey, we hope you book." But we also understand that that's this generation.
Yeah, 100%. I think we say, even in the thing, we can call you, we can do a video chat, we can, meet face to face if you live in the Raleigh-Durham area. We'll come to you if we need to. We don't have to meet here. So we do obviously want to meet. It's been a huge part of our success, and a little different model than you guys, where from day one, 9 to 12 months in advance for a wedding, the DJ that's doing the show actually meets with the couple and kind of sells the experience and everything else. I think when I first read this post, Mike, I read it wrong, because I think I was not even really thinking about I thought he was saying that he wouldn't book anything over the internet. So in other words, I thought he was saying that if somebody's basically just emailed in and said, "Nick, we saw you at Susie Smith's wedding, and we want to book you because we thought you were awesome. send us a contract for October 29th, 2019, 7 to 11 at Asbury Park Country Club, blah, blah, blah. So and again, I mean, I'm sure you guys have gotten those inquiries plenty of times, whether it's been from Mike Walter or Dom or somebody.
Oh, no doubt. One of our DJs, or even sometimes from a showcase. You know, we do a lot of live showcasing, and we'll get an email a couple days later saying, we thought you guys were phenomenal. You know, you send me a contract. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you don't have, there is no,
I didn't get that from Nick's post. And listen, Nick, I think Nick listens to this, so hopefully he'll comment on about maybe exactly what he meant or do a video comment. But I didn't get that from his post. I got it. It seemed to me like it was a frustrating moment. And listen, again, we all have them where you have a client that has probably raved about you. I've heard great things, blah, blah, blah. And all you want to do is get them in front of you, but they're pushing back against that. So I get the frustration. I don't know if he's saying in that post, I refuse to send a price sheet without meeting with you. I'm not even here to say that that's wrong, because I know, we had Mitch Taylor on this podcast a while back. And if anybody missed that or wants to go back and revisit it, please do. It was a couple of months ago. But I think Mitch is of that philosophy. Like, no, I'm not sending you a price sheet. We are meeting face to face. How can I send you a price sheet until I know what you want?
Right.
So I get all that, but we have taken the philosophy of, if that's what you want to start things out, we will give you our most popular packages and their prices, and then hopefully that gets the ball going. And then also a lot of times, if somebody's looking for a $500 DJ and they get our price sheet, they go, oh, that's not them. Well, why bother wasting anybody's time in that moment? If they're looking for a $500 DJ, they're not going to spend $1,750.
Right.
So no matter how good our sales process is or how strong the referral, if they've budgeted $500 for their entertainment, then don't even bother. Just get our price sheet and go, okay, never mind.
Yeah, you're over tripled what they thought they were going to.
The only frustrating thing to me in that part is why a client doesn't just email back and say, okay, thanks, but no thanks. That's not what we were looking for. Because sometimes you have to, send 9 emails before you, finally send your trapped under a rock one, or we have a similar one. We don't make it as comical, but we basically, I have one, and it's funny because it just worked yesterday. I had emailed this client a number of times, and my final contact is, let me know if there's anything else I can help you with, is the subject line, and the body basically just says, I've sent you a number of emails that have gone unreturned. I don't want to be a pain, or I forget exactly. So this will be my last contact unless you need something. If not, best of luck with all your plans. That email, a lot of times that's the last, they never reply to that either. So I canceled the lead. But every once in a while, and this happened yesterday, client replied to that and said, oh my God, I know, I've been so busy. Sorry about that. So when I was just emailing boom, boom, boom once a week, they were like, oh yeah, that's elite. But once I was closing the door to the communication, that's when they realized the urgency. We actually have an appointment now set up next week. Damn. So I do think, nice. We've talked about this on the podcast about how much follow-up is too much follow-up. And, you and I differ a little bit. Some people differ great. Some people are like, I don't follow up at all.
Right.
I give them one contact, and then if they want me, which I don't think is enough. But again, everyone has their own. But at some point when you're following up, I think you need to stop chasing your tail and just, say, okay, this is it.
Mike, can I ask a question real quick about Nick? So who is he with now? Or, is he the head of a multi-op?
He owns his own company.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a multi-op. Okay. If it is, it's not a grand multi-op. It's a couple guys, but I think he might just be booking himself.
So same with Mitch, So maybe that's a little bit more of a boutique kind of.
No doubt. When you have fewer
where you and I are trying to feed 15, 16, 20
We're trying to pack schedules, and I think there's different expectations from those two types of companies.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that answers a little bit and kind of puts it a little bit more into perspective. But I think you and I kind of agree on this topic that, if somebody wants a price sheet, they're going to get a price sheet. But by all means, the end of that email, that initial email is, please come in. We want to see you. We want to speak to you. We want to video chat with you.
Right.
Let me,
and by the way, I mentioned earlier, date name, email. I should also add location to that because, and this is something where, why do you need our location? Well, I can't quote you a price if you're going to be in Wisconsin. Can you at least tell me where the wedding is going to be? You know, so that's the other factor. And we don't price by location. So
I was about to say that.
For that reason. It's not like, oh, that's a high-end place, so send them this. We don't have separate price, but we need to at least know, or at least, you know, people sometimes will say, well, it's going to be in Northern Jersey. Okay, fine. That's enough for me. But, you know, we just need to know a price, because if it turns out you're out at the end of Long Island, then there's going to be additional charges.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure you did say that about, and you and I are the same about this. You know, you don't see a 5-star hotel and go, send them the 5-star hotel sheet. Yeah, I'm the same way. It doesn't. If it's a backyard wedding or a 5-star hotel, you're going to get the same price sheet from us. Yeah, I think that's only right and fair and ethical to the consumer. So, Mike, let's move over to my little secondary topic, since we're
before we do. I just have one more thought about that. I remember a guy who, God, I can name him, but I won't do that. He told me once he bases his prices on what car the client pulls up to his office.
Stop it, dude.
Can you imagine?
Come on, man.
You show up in a Mercedes, you're getting this price.
He shuffles through the file thing.
Show up, yeah. Can you imagine?
Wow, man, that's terrible.
I wish I could name that guy, but I will not.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No.
All right, so moving over to our secondary topic here, the second portion of the show, if you will. Again, another Mike Walter pull from Facebook. This one was in the ever illustrious and filled with comments DJ Idea Sharing.
DJ Idea Sharing, yeah.
DJIS Facebook group run by our friend.
I call it How to Waste the Rest of the Afternoon.
How to get sucked into a troll-filled discussion. Mike Fernino, good dude. He's been
great dude.
Guy, he's headed that up for years. I bet it's got, what, Mike, 15,000 members?
12,000.
Yeah,
so I think 12,000 members. Yeah.
So anyway, this is you know, if you post in there, just be very, very mindful that it will possibly suck you in for the rest of a couple of days. If you
put our podcast in there, but I never look at the comments. I did that once, and I was like, "Oh my God, they're brutal."
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I just put it in there so we get the listeners, but I don't read them.
Jeez.
For these two guys to tell us anything, blah blah blah. I don't want to read it. Yeah.
Anyway, so this. So Neil Howard, I know, know of Neil. I know a lot of these guys that post in there. It says this. He posted a poll. It looks like this sparked a discussion in a local group. Do you consider a DJ a musician? Yes or no? So, and I'll pose the question to you, Mike. I'll say it. Let me add in artist. Do you consider a DJ a musician and/or / artist? Feel free to answer. And you like the way I just sprung this on you. There was no pre-telling.
Yeah, well, I mean, I put it in there, so I should have been prepared. But I don't consider us musicians by any stretch unless we are producing our own. I mean, that's a totally different thing. If you're a DJ / producer,
we're not talking Calvin Harris.
Tom Monaco, who works for me, produces his own tracks. That makes him a musician. It makes him now artist. Oh, man, I mean, artist is a pretty broad term. So I would probably lean us more towards entertainer rather than artist.
Yeah.
But some of the things people do, and I'm not including myself in that because I'm not a scratcher. And when I don't do live mashups and things like that.
Sure.
But some of the things that some DJs do, I think would trend it towards being a little bit more of an artist. But I think in the grand scheme of things, we are entertainers, and our tool is music. That's all. We're using the music that other musicians have created, and we're using that to entertain. So I don't consider us really either.
I mean, I think people a lot of times listen in and they want us to get into some huge fight. But I mean, again, on this topic, you and I are exactly the same. I've seen DJs, I've seen videos of DJs. I follow tons of DJs on social media and Instagram, and these guys that put together these routines for the Red Bull Championship and the DMC Championships, and I'm like, that guy's an artist. You know what I mean? I don't put myself in the musician artist category at all. And I think even less so if you are, and this goes back to the topic you and I and Jan and I were speaking about a couple of days ago, was even less so do I categorize the people that are just simply, playing off their laptop with a 3-second crossfade set up on Spotify. You know what I mean? I think there
are people like that in our industry.
Oh, come on, man.
That is sad.
That's an upcoming topic. I've got that down here as a.
One of the things we did touch on that topic, why some people don't mix.
Yeah.
And I know we've made this point before, but to me, they're also, besides the fact that I think they're cheating their guests at their party, they're also missing out on what I consider to be one of the really fun moments of a party. Once all the formalities are done, and I look at my playlist and I go, I got 2 hours to chop these people up and get them to party and everything else, and I'm looking at my playlist, that's when it becomes, what am I going to play next? And that part is programming. But then how am I going to beat mix this into this, and where am I going to do this? And that's the fun part. That's when I start really enjoying the night. So if you're just doing simple segues, and man, you're missing out.
Well, I mean, again, exactly what you said.
But you're not a musician. But you're also not a musician.
Yeah, but it's not even that you're not even. Sometimes I look at it like, yes, I'm entertaining this crowd of 150 people, but I'm also entertaining myself. So I told you the other night, right? My parents, parents came to the wedding I DJ'd Saturday night, and not only did my parents come, but literally they brought a limo full of people from Wilson, which is about an hour from where this wedding was. And so a lot of my parents' friends were there. And, so they've seen the entire 33-year career. I mean, I used to play for them when I was 13 years old.
Right.
And I would get $50 and play their songs until they couldn't stand up anymore. And so this lady came over to me, one of my mom's friends. She goes, I really respect you. And I thought she was going to say something really nice about the longevity of my career. And she goes, and I go, oh yeah, that's so nice, Connie. Why? And she goes, because this is the most boring shit I've ever been to. And it was like,
thanks, Connie.
It was early in the night. It was, all the, we had still doing dinners, and we were getting ready to do the toast. And she just was like, and she had been there for 3 hours already.
So her respect was the fact that you do this boring shit every weekend.
Every weekend. And I was like,
and somehow you trudge through it.
I said, Connie, it's getting ready to turn the corner. Hang tight. And, 5 minutes later, the dance floor's packed. But I was just it was just so funny to me to hear her say that. And she's kind of right. But once it turns that corner and the lights come down, that's when you and I shine, or really anybody that really cares to mix. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, Mike, do you have any other comments, any other tidbits? We got a couple minutes left, or do you want to wrap this thing, put a bow on it?
Yeah, let's wrap it. Although I think the conversation of, are we musicians, are we artists, are we entertainers? I also think the question, even as entertainers, where are we on the spectrum? Are we in the service business, or are we in the entertainment business? Because that part goes to, and I think every DJ can answer this differently, but those DJs who say, don't give me any requests, I know how to throw a party, those, to me, they are more entertainers. Somebody like myself, and I think yourself here too, if you allow your guests to make requests, if you allow your clients to dictate the playlist to a degree, then you're in both. You're in the entertainment field, but you're also in the service business.
100%.
And, I found that this weekend. I kind of vented, I think I've mentioned Elite Entertainment now has a closed Facebook group, which is great because that's where we can vent. I never would have put this on Facebook.
Sure.
And I'm only saying it now because no one will know which of my weddings this past weekend this was from. But I had one of those weddings where they gave me a dozen must plays, and every single one of them cleared the dance floor. So I'd have the dance floor going, and I'd look at my list and go, I got to play this questionable song because the bride and groom have it on their must play, and then boom, and clear the dance floor. And I'm like, and that's one of those where you just go, I'm not solely an entertainer. I'm also in the service business. And if it wasn't for that, and if I could ignore this request, then I could probably throw a better party. But I also want to be able to look in the client's eyes and say, hey, I played every one of your requests.
Absolutely. And man, honestly, that goes back to that question 2 or 3 weeks ago. I asked you, what was the key to the success of Elite? Name the one thing. And that's what you said. The customer experience. And you're exactly right. At the end of the day, we are a service-based business. And as much as we would love to say, I'm the boss of Bunn DJ Company and you're the boss of Elite Entertainment, we're not. We report to whoever hired us on that day. period. Right. And like you can think you work for yourself all you want as an entrepreneur, but at the end of the day, somebody is really your boss. Right. And I'm okay with it being the client, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you have not been to the PHDJworkshop.com website in a while, go there, check it out. Feel free to reach out to us if you would like to maybe hear from some other people that have been and experienced the workshop, which is in March in Vegas, because I promise you every graduate that's come through will say nice things about us.
We'll rave.
We hope.
And speaking of closed Facebook groups, we also have one for our graduates, and
it's the bomb.
It's a good sharing, learning experience, and kind of positive group. No negativity in there.
No flaming. No flaming. Yeah. No trolling.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for listening, and keep tuning in. We will see you or hear from you or something next week.
Chat next week.
Peace.
Later.